Welcome to Reno's World Podcast, where truth and myth collide and every story gets a deep dive. I'm your host, Reno Rains, your guide through the unknown. Tonight's topic, did the Anunnaki change our DNA? We're exploring the strange, the mysterious, and the downright unbelievable. And just so you know, we play an old movie to give you something to look at because, well, this is a podcast and we like to keep things interesting. So sit back, relax, and let's unravel tonight's tale. In the ancient cradle of civilization, where the Tigris and Euphrates meet, lies a puzzle buried in stone and silence. Clay tablets, older than the Bible and more complex than myth, speak of gods who descended from the heavens, not to enlighten mankind, but to alter it. These gods were the Anunnaki. The term comes from the Sumerians, one of the first known civilizations on Earth. Anunnaki roughly translates to those who came down from the heavens. Carved into tablets and temple walls, these figures weren't metaphorical spirits or symbolic deities. They were described as beings of flesh and bone, tall, powerful, and always descending from the sky. Mainstream archaeology treats these texts as myth. But in 1976, author Zecharia Sitchin ignited controversy with the 12th planet. Based on translations of Sumerian texts, Sitchin argued that the Anunnaki were actually ancient extraterrestrials from a planet called Nibiru, a distant world with a long, elliptical orbit. According to his interpretation, these beings came to Earth over 400,000 years ago in search of gold. And that's where things take a sharper turn. Gold, Sitchin claimed, wasn't for jewelry or status, it was a survival resource. On Nibiru, it was needed to stabilize their deteriorating atmosphere. When the Anunnaki discovered Earth's abundance of gold, they began mining it in southern Africa. But mining Earth's resources proved too grueling. So the Anunnaki turned their attention to something far more radical, genetic engineering. According to Sitchin, the Sumerian tablets describe the creation of mankind as a deliberate act, not a spiritual event, but a laboratory experiment. The Anunnaki, frustrated with the labor, allegedly combined their own DNA with that of early hominins, producing a hybrid species designed for obedience and strength. That species was us. One tablet from the Atrahasis epic, dated to around 1700 BCE, describes how the god Enki and the goddess Ninhursag created humans by mixing clay with the essence of the gods. Sitchin and others believe that clay could be a metaphor for biological material, DNA. What makes this more than just ancient lore is the strange consistency of origin myths across the globe. In Mesoamerican texts, the gods form man from maize or mud, with God's blood added to complete them. In African Dogon mythology, sky beings called the Nomo arrive in ships and manipulate life. In the Book of Enoch, excluded from modern biblical canon, watchers from the sky descend and intermingle with humans. Separate cultures, similar themes, always the sky, always intervention. Then there's the genetic data. In 2003, after the completion of the Human Genome Project, geneticist Francis Crick, co-discoverer of DNA structure, raised eyebrows with a theory that life on Earth might have been seeded intentionally through directed panspermia. Though Crick didn't mention the Anunnaki, the idea that human DNA may contain traces of external manipulation wasn't off limits in academic conversation. Even more curiously, a 2013 study published in Icarus proposed that Earth's genetic code contains a biological SETI, a message embedded within our DNA, too structured and clean to be the product of randomness. This study, authored by Vladimir Sherbak and Maxim Makukov, suggests our genetic makeup may carry a non-terrestrial imprint. Supporters of the Anunnaki theory point to the sudden and unexplained leap in human evolution around 200,000 years ago. Prior to that, hominins evolved slowly over millions of years. Then, without clear explanation, Homo sapiens emerged. Bigger brains, better tools, language, culture. The ancient astronaut hypothesis sees this as more than coincidence. Michael Tellinger, a researcher known for his work on ancient ruins in southern Africa, argues that circular stone formations, often dismissed as livestock enclosures, may actually be remnants of vast mining operations. Many of these formations are located near gold-rich terrain and are thousands of years old, predating most known civilizations. From these sites, Tellinger claims there's evidence of early structured labor, far too advanced for the time period. He believes these ruins mark the location where the Anunnaki may have first intervened. Further intrigue comes from Sumerian king lists, stone records listing rulers who reigned for thousands of years. Some entries cite kings who ruled for 28,800 years or more. Scholars call this exaggerated mythology. But to theorists, it implies a non-human lineage, lifespans not bound by biology as we know it. Yet the most compelling link may be our own chromosomes. Humans possess 46 chromosomes, chimpanzees have 48. The fusion of two ancestral chromosomes created human chromosome 2, which scientists agree occurred suddenly and without clear evolutionary precedent. The theory suggests this fusion was intentional, possibly engineered to create a new species. Is that biological accident or intelligent design? The evidence remains scattered but strangely cohesive. Ancient texts, genetic anomalies, global myths, structures out of time, all circling back to one provocative question. Did someone intervene in our evolution? What if our origin story didn't start in Africa but in a lab? What if the divine spark inside us was artificial? As the evidence trail deepens, the ancient fingerprints don't fade, they sharpen. In 1849, British archaeologist Austen Henry Layard uncovered the ruins of Nineveh, once the capital of Assyria, and within it, the lost library of Ashurbanipal. Among the thousands of clay tablets discovered were detailed cosmologies, medical texts, and blueprints for creation. On some, the Anunnaki appear not just as gods, but as administrators, recording genetic lineages, celestial maps, and even instructions on how to build a human. This isn't speculative. The tablets exist, and many are housed today in the British Museum. One tablet, known as the Enuma Elish, describes how the god Marduk orders the creation of humans from blood and bone mixed with earth. In the context of Mesopotamian belief, this could easily be dismissed as poetic. But if taken literally, and that's the leap theorists make, it suggests gene editing in the ancient world. Zecharia Sitchin maintained that these weren't metaphors, but technical accounts, records from beings advanced enough to manipulate DNA. He believed the Anunnaki created the first prototype of mankind, Adamu, in the ancient city of Eridu, near modern-day Iraq. The term Adamu shares striking similarities with the biblical Adam, the first man. Critics argue these interpretations distort linguistics, but for believers, the parallels are too specific to ignore. And then there's the cylinder seal VA-243. This small artifact, on display at the Vorderasiatisches Museum in Berlin, shows figures resembling the Anunnaki with one striking feature, a depiction of the solar system, not just Earth and the Moon, but all known planets, including Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. These planets weren't officially discovered until millennia later. If the seal is authentic and interpreted correctly, how could ancient humans have known? Mainstream scholars dismiss it as stylized symbolism, but the theory persists. The Anunnaki didn't just come from the stars, they understood them. In 2010, geneticist Dr. Jason Bresch-Shears began cataloging anomalies in ancient human DNA, looking for what he called non-human markers. While not definitively tied to aliens, the research hints at mysterious sequences with no traceable ancestral lineage, sections of DNA labeled junk, but still unexplained. Roughly, 97% of our DNA falls into this category. Could these silent codes be leftovers from an ancient experiment? Another point of fascination is the rapid emergence of civilization. Within a few thousand years, humans went from nomadic hunter-gatherers to city builders, astronomers, metallurgists, and mathematicians. Ancient Sumer developed writing, law, medicine, and astronomy in an incredibly short time span, with no known civilization to learn it from. Sitchin believed this knowledge was inherited, not invented, passed down, deliberately, by the Anunnaki. Some evidence even lies beneath our feet. In southern Africa, near the Zimbabwe ruins, lie hundreds of thousands of circular stone formations spread across miles of remote terrain. Researcher Johann Heine documented these sites extensively. Some estimate the formations are over 200,000 years old, aligned with star charts and built with materials not native to the area. The formations are carved in concentric rings, echoing the Sumerian depiction of the Anunnaki's home city, Nibiru. To believers, these aren't tribal relics, they're power grids, or perhaps remnants of ancient energy systems. Michael Tellinger has suggested they may have functioned like acoustic resonators, channeling sound frequencies, possibly to enhance mining or influence biological matter. It's speculative, but grounded in actual fieldwork. And even more mystifying, the archaeological blackouts. Numerous sites across Mesopotamia and Africa remain off limits, closed by government decree, or plagued by sudden halts in excavation. In Iraq, several Anunnaki-related sites became inaccessible after the 2003 invasion, including Eridu and Nippur. These interruptions have fueled conspiracy theories suggesting that what's hidden underground may challenge established history. Even NASA has been dragged into the conversation. In 2011, the agency released a paper titled, "Would Contact with Extraterrestrials Benefit or Harm Humanity?" Among the scenarios explored was the idea that advanced beings may intervene genetically to protect planetary ecosystems, potentially altering species they believe pose a threat. It's not a smoking gun, but it shows the concept of alien-directed evolution has crossed into mainstream scientific thought. So, what are we left with? A constellation of clues, texts, ruins, genetic anomalies, and global myths. Alone, each might be dismissed, but together, they form a pattern that stretches across continents, cultures, and centuries. Were we created by chance or by intention? Analysis 75 words. Sumerian text describing Anunnaki and genetic creation. Unverified, part of the legend. Theo VA 243 with solar system depiction. Unverified, contested interpretation. Sudden human chromosome 2. Verified as true, event occurred, but origin unknown. Southern Africa stone circles and mining claims. Unverified, under investigation. Ancient DNA junk code speculation. Verified anomaly, origin unknown. NASA's alien intervention paper. Verified document, theoretical thought exercise.